What are you asking for anything from the FDA? Do you need more research to sort of bring back any sort of vaccine therapeutics for COVID? Are we just done with it? What do you imagine going forward? What are you sort of thinking about in terms of this? I'm sure you're constantly reevaluating things.
Yeah, I think that we need totally, absolutely to do responsible research. One area of responsible research is to confirm or check to determine, right? By check, I mean PCR sequencing of genomes of people who have received mRNA COVID-19 vaccines to confirm that there's no integration of DNA from these vaccines into people's genomes. I mean, that absolutely, positively should be done. We've said it explicitly. It doesn't have to be the CDC or the FDA. I mean, it should have been the FDA requiring pharmaceutical companies to do it, but laboratories can do it. Academic centers can do it. People, you think back to when we did in Florida, the analysis of cardiac death after COVID-19 vaccines. That should have already been done. We did it. People got very upset when we found that, there was I think it was an 84% increased risk of cardiac death in 30 days afterward, a relative incidence of cardiac death in young men. And there was an increase in other populations too, but that was the population where it was largest. But we did that here in the Department of Health, but academic institutions should have done it. I mean, that should have already been done. Myocarditis was already well known. It should have already been done. And so this is another thing where I hope and pray that other leaders at universities, leaders of other public health departments, leaders of other states, do the responsible thing and look at their data, do these investigations, examine whether there's evidence of integration of DNA from these vaccines into people's genomes. So that absolutely should be done. And I hope and I pray that there's more courage and integrity out there, and we don't, as a state, have to carry the lion's burden of just trying to stick up for humanity. And so that's one major thing that totally, absolutely should be done. We've said it, and no one should be taking these mRNA COVID-19 vaccines. The other ones don't have the same risk. Not saying they're perfect at all. They still don't have clinical trials that are current that apply to today's epidemiology. But at least they don't have this problem with potentially interfering with the human genome. That's just like that. There's the line, and there you are if you're potentially disrupting the human genome with your product. That's
Yeah. No, so what you were saying is you want to have categorical certainty that isn't happening. There's argumentation that it isn't happening, but you want absolute categorical certainty. And by the way, I've talked to some good this is way out of my field, but I've talked to some good biologists, some good scientists who are saying that they want to study certain tumors that may be associated with the promoter gene and look at those tumors and see if they find the sequences in the tumors, which is kind of an interesting approach, right? So that way they're not just, because again, it may be different how much DNA is delivered and what's in the batch and who gets what. And what you want to know is that there's not enough to cause a pathology, and maybe studying at the endpoint, the pathology, and then looking back may be a more efficient way to sort of cull this together. Just a thought.
Right. Yeah, I've heard that too. And I think a thorough investigation is completely appropriate. And, honestly, my gut sense is that it probably does have some degree of integration in individuals. I mostly believe that because frankly, it's partly an intuitive sense, and it fits with just about every unusual and unfortunate thing about these mRNA COVID-19 vaccines. So that's my sense.
Well, all my career, it's been about squeaky wheels and people standing up and questioning things and being willing to be wrong. That we always admired anybody that did that. So I admire you by my sort of history and my nature. And if you are right, God help us.